Hi, everybody. How is everybody tonight? Hope all is well. I just want to say thank you. I want to thank Apostle Joanne for giving me the opportunity once again to come forth with the word of encouragement. And I just want to say that I'm really excited that it is Black History Month, and I will be coming forth with, one famous known person. I'll be speaking on Maya Angelou. Sad to say, but as much as, Maya Angelou has been mentioned, I'm just now, learning more about her. If I wanted to give a subtitle for tonight, it would be Power of Words. I wanted to start off with a statement that she has said, Maya Angelou has said, that stood out to me. She actually was interviewed, and what she said was, words are things. She said that words are things. I'm convinced we must be careful about the words you use or the words you allow to be used in your household. In the Old Testament, we are told in Genesis that in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God. Word that's in Genesis, the word that's in Genesis, words are things. We must be careful about calling people out of their names, using radical predatory and sexual predatory, and all that ignorance. Yes, that was that. And she also, this is a continuation. She said, someday we will be able to measure the power of words. I think they are things. They get on the wall, they get in your wallpaper, they get in your rugs, clothes, and fully into you. She was thinking about that. Also, I wanted to go to a couple of Bible verses that, I chose based on, looking at her interviews and things that's been, that I've caught on, that, I've prayed about, and the Lord has guided me to use. Both of the verses, I have two verses. The first one is Proverbs 18:20. It's coming from the NLT version. And that one, it says, wise words satisfy like a good meal. The right words bring satisfaction. Of course, I wanted to define wise, just for those that don't know what wise means. It means having or showing experience, knowledge, and good judgment. Another definition that I found was, and responding sensibly or shrewdly to a particular situation. The other word that I wanted to define was satisfaction. Satisfaction is fulfillment of one's wishes, expectations, or needs, or pleasures derived from this. My second verse, my second scripture, is Proverbs 31:8. That's also coming from the NLT version. To speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves, ensure justice for those being crushed. The scripture that, I will mainly be following is Proverbs 18:20, which is the wise words satisfy like a good meal. The right words bring satisfaction. Okay. Even though, you heard the name Maya Angelou, you think, oh, I know Maya Angelou. You may have even read some of her books, seen some of her movies, or even read a few of her poems. However, I researched, and I watched interviews with Maya Angelou, and just to see the way she presented, that she present herself, to me, was so amazing. I was so inspired, and most of all, brings so much insight to my own future. I can honestly say her story touched me on a level that brings me hope and joy, and a joyful feeling to so much, my own future now, and even just experiences from my past. It makes me feel like, of course, everything happens for a reason. What inspired me and stopped me from going further into researching more. There's so much information on her, but there was a particular, story that she had. There was a particular story that she had that really, the spirit in me was like, okay, this is it. This is what I'm going to be speaking on. And she had, Maya expressed her humility as a child, being raped by her mother's boyfriend. She was also traumatized. She didn't even talk to nobody except to her brother. She was the only one. He was the only one that she trusted. When she told her brother, he convinced her everything was going to be okay. And within a day, after telling her brother, the man that raped her, turns up dead. Now, what really shocked me was that, Maya stopped talking, but not because she was raped, but because she opened her mouth to tell, and the guy dies. She was 7 years old. At 7 years old, she said she knew her voice had killed him. And that was mind-blowing to hear, that she said that at 7, she knew her, voice had killed him. And that was the turning point for her not speaking. She allowed 5 years to go, but without talking to anybody but her brother. It was a quote that she said, again, she said, I thought my voice itself had killed him. Now, after, not speaking, what allowed Maya to speak was a woman, by the name of Miss Flowers. This is where the turning point of her words, this is where the power of words come in at. Mrs. Flower, the teacher, who paid attention into Maya Angelou. Mrs. Flowers was a teacher who paid attention to, Maya Angelou. She was, she would give Maya books to read, and even challenge her to go to the library and read. Maya, she did just that, and she found reading poetry one of her favorites. She read poetry. Even she didn't understand poetry, but she read a lot of books, and she didn't even understand it. Like, definitely when it came to poetry, but that's what her passion was. Mrs. Flower, the teacher that, found interest in her when she couldn't talk, but she seen that she loved books. She had challenged Maya, by saying a statement that changed her life forever. While Maya was still not speaking but reading, Miss Flower said to her without her grandmother around. And then in front of her grandmother, the statement that changed Maya's life, that allowed her to speak, was said by Mrs. Flower. She said, "You'll never really love it until you speak it." To me, I thought that was a powerful statement. Just that one statement, speaking to a young kid, just not knowing that she haven't spoken in 5 years. And just, can you imagine if you was that person that was able to encourage a 12, because at this time she was 12, it was 5 years later, 12-year-old, just let her know, you see a person interested in books, and just one statement, said you'll never really love it until you speak it. That was really shocking and amazing to me, how powerful that teacher had impacted her life, and that was, again, a statement from Mrs. Flower to Maya Angelou that allowed her to talk again. Maya Angelou, she was born April 4th, 1969, and she passed away in the year May 28th, 2014. My experience reading on Maya Angelou has been, it was very intrigued. Like I said, so many things that I could have spoke about. So many things, I found out so many things about her. How, she was younger, she lived with her grandmother. She stayed with her grandmother. She lived with her mom up to 3, and then she ended up going with her grandmother. And how, of course, she, wasn't talking for like 5 years. But just as an adult, she, of course, became a poem writer. She made cookbooks. She made, movies. She directed movies. And, just all the poems that she had wrote was a lot from her experiences. And our poems, they were more of, expressing how her, but in a poetry way, how she felt. But just to think of how one teacher impacted her life because of words, because of saying the right things, it just makes me think to, things said to me and negative things said to me. But the question is, how can you look at it in a way where it will help you? It will help you to grow. It will help you to move forward. That was a lie, and a lot of times when trauma happens, this reading this, it allowed me to recognize how the enemy really likes to still kill and destroy. Mentioning and reading on Maya Angelou, really her interviews, hearing how the enemy had caught her tongue, how he had got her tongue, meaning like she didn't even speak up. And, just by her trusting her brother, speaking to the one person she loved, the enemy would just play mind games to make you think because you speak up that is the wrong thing. But God is so good that he will always bring the right person around to help save you because of his power. And I just really find that really encouraging. I try not to speak for myself tonight because this is about Maya Angelou, but I kind of think of myself as, I'm a teacher right now of toddlers, and so many times that I can get frustrated, and so many times that I can, want to snap and just be like, oh my goodness. I don't, I try to encourage them, because I recognize how words can either break you or make you. And it just really showed me how far, in Maya Angelou's life, how far she got. When you can speak the right words to people and encourage them, how you can uplift somebody. Like sometimes you don't think a statement or something positive will do something to somebody, but this reading and this doing research on Maya Angelou, how this one teacher at the age of 12 inspired her throughout her whole life by just one statement. By letting her know, you'll never speak it until you'll never really be able to excuse me, you'll never be able to speak it, but reading it, until you read it. That's like powerful. You'll never be able to speak it until you read it. But that's what I have for tonight. And my title again was Power of Words. And the scriptures that I had was Proverbs 18:20, NLT, and the other scripture was Proverbs 31:8, also NLT. And I went from Proverbs 18 through 20. So thank you. Everybody have a good night. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, woman of God.